On today's episode of Let's Talk Dog Business, we'll be talking about how brilliant dog trainers are at losing clients.
So we've been talking this week, and it's come up quite a bit in some of our client conversations, both in the group work that we've been doing and in their one-to-one sessions, on attracting clients, but also detracting them as well. So we thought it'd be really interesting to actually delve into how to lose clients and how we're already unconsciously, possibly, potentially doing that already.
I think a lot of dog trainers are brilliant at losing clients.
I agree.
Without even realising that they're repelling them.
Yeah, I 100% concur. So what are your thoughts then?
So as people probably know by now, we're a fan of working with somebody on a programme rather than ad hoc sessions. And there are loads of benefits of doing that. But the main worry that people have with offering a programme that we found from talking to our clients are things like, what if I don't have enough to fill a 6, 8, 10-week programme with somebody? So they've called you in for, let's say, recall. And arguably, you could fix that recall problem in probably a couple of sessions. And that's what they're looking at it as. Well, what do I do with the remaining 8 sessions? But the way we would look at it is differently, isn't it? We would go, well, have you really proofed that behaviour in 2 weeks? Have you covered every eventuality with that recall? Have you tried it in lots of different environments? Have you done X, Y, and Z? And for us, it gives us a chance to really drill into that behaviour fully and proof it. Yeah. And get the client relationship going really, really nicely as well.
Yeah, because I think inevitably as well, you will always find more things crop up. So you're never just going to be teaching recall.
Yeah.
You're never just going to be teaching loose lead. I mean, you could. And I suppose if you're offering ad hoc sessions, that's all you're going in with is that mindset. And actually, whilst you were talking, it made me think, if I were to, I don't know, hire a tutor for the boys to help them with, I don't know, they're only 2 and 4, so spelling or a bit of math. They might be able to get the spelling bit right, but then how are you going to help them translate that into a sentence and actually write something that's meaningful? And then you would ultimately then find other things crop up during that. So I don't know, you could identify that one of them's got a really short attention span and you need to build up that focus ability. So that's a separate skill in itself. So already I'm now no longer just teaching a bit of math or a bit of spelling. I've now got to work on focus. You could then also find that one doesn't relate very well to you as the teacher or your learning style or your teaching style. So you're going to have to adapt to that. So all of these things start creeping in. And then if I've got a really good relationship with that tutor, I might then start saying, because I'm seeing them as a professional, and arguably you almost blanket it a little bit, don't you? You don't just go, oh, I've hired you as a math tutor. I assume now you're really good with kids in general.
Yeah.
So I may end up having other conversations around the child development instead of now just focusing on math and spelling.
But also from like being a mother and for somebody coming in as a professional to help with something with your child, if they then picked up other things and just covered those other things and just like addressed them early enough and kind of communicated that back to you as well, obviously, you would be like, well, that's even better. Because that's not just what I hired you for. I just hired you for that purpose, but you're able to like look at it in a wider term and go, well, just because I'm here to do that doesn't mean I then can't help them with this other thing as well. So from like a value point of view, that's even better for you, isn't it? So in terms of being a dog trainer, if you go, well, I've come in to help you with this problem, but actually we're solving this problem and that problem as well off the back of it, because it always like drips into other things as well, like you said. So surely that's a better service for the client, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also worth noting that it totally depends on how that information is portrayed and how it's put across and ultimately how it's received. Because I've seen it before with dog trainers and other professionals, certainly where imposter syndrome creeps in. And for me, I think this is where a lot of this industry could potentially be putting people off, is they're talking to these dog owners, guardians, whatever you want to call them nowadays, as if we need to tell them all these fancy words or point out things that are, air quote, wrong with the dog. Like, look there, can you see that dog's really struggling in that situation? And to a person receiving it, who's potentially just called you out for loose lead or equal or whatever it is, they're going, oh, what do you mean they're struggling? And now we've kind of input some panic. We're thinking we're doing them a favour. And I'm sure you've had this, certainly with your massage side of it as well. It's really easy to identify something. Actually, we had this the other week, didn't we, with a German Shepherd that we're working with. And it looks really obvious to us that dog is struggling with some hip dysplasia. Yeah. But we're also very conscious that at this moment in time, you don't want to bring it up in such a way as to detract from everything else that we're doing when we're just building up her confidence, the dog's starting to do really well. And then all of a sudden you just drop a bomb like, oh, by the way, did you see that this, we're seeing this? And it's that fine balance, isn't it? Because obviously that conversation does need to be had, but we have to consider the journey. And again, like if you're only offering ad hoc sessions, what are you going to do? Just drop everything, all that information in one session and then hope really that they're going to stay with you and book again.
Yeah. And this is exactly what used to happen with me. I would, when I was doing ad hoc sessions, cram in as much information as possible because it was such the unknown. Like I didn't know whether I was ever going to see them again. So for me, I'm like, I need to give loads and loads of value and tell them loads of things. So many things that they're probably not taking anything in because there's just too much stuff. And in my eyes, I'm going, well, they need to know XYZ, like ABC, XYZ, all those things in between. And actually, the person is just not taking any of it on board. And like, they've probably gone away more clueless than they came in the first place. So there's never any strategy, is there? Like if you're just seeing somebody and hoping for the best that they see you again, how can you start building that relationship up? There's a way to lose clients straight away because you haven't got the rapport. You can't be honest with them. You can't, like the relationship we've got with our clients is like we're doing some trained for you programs with people that have been working with us a while. We might have mentioned this before. And they're clients that we know really well. And we're literally at the point now where you can just say pretty much anything to them because we've learnt how they view us and we've got to know them really well inside out pretty much, haven't we? So if there was anything, we wouldn't have that awkwardness and that sort of pussyfooting around them because we can just have the confidence to do it now. And that takes a lot, doesn't it, for somebody to trust you that much and for us to feel like we can say that and it's going to land well with them.
Yeah.
So that also gives you an opportunity to build all of that up as well, which so many people don't have that.
No. And it's an interesting perspective, isn't it? Because I bet there are so many people out there who are listening going, oh my God, because we've certainly had this in some of our coaching clients, haven't we, where we've suggested putting all of their knowledge into a longer term program delivery. And the kickback we're getting is, but I can deliver that in 2 sessions, 1 session. And we're like, in the nicest possible way, like I do not care how fantastic you are. From a layman dog owner point of view, there is no way that person is going to get everything solved in 1 session. It's just too much information. If you realistically and logically think about how many hours you yourself have invested in learning about dogs. We geek out on all the CPD stuff that we all love. We talk to each other about dogs. We are immersed in it all day, every day. We even start looking at our own dogs. We start training our own dogs. You're talking to other people in social media groups about dogs, like we are fully immersed in it. How on earth can somebody obtain any of that information? And again, I appreciate you're not necessarily going to offload all of that in any sessions. I know some people will literally just go in and train the dog. But again, there've got to be some kind of skill set being passed on, unless you are literally doing it for them. And in which case, I would also argue that you are doing them a disservice if you are doing it for them on a one-off basis.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be able to continue it. They don't know the skills. They haven't practiced the skills. They're not going to know how to cope with it in different situations. I can get I was working a spaniel the other week, and a typical spaniel pulls like a steam train, like horrendous lead walking. I managed to get that dog lead walking within 10 minutes, totally focused on me. It was beautiful. Now, I would be incredibly naive if I thought that would have fixed that, because I managed to get him up and down the street and a bit around the block within that hour session. And then, ta-da, you're done. Well, ta-da, yes, you're done, and I've shown you that it's possible. But put that lead into, and I actually proved it. I was like, look, I've shown you what's possible. Now I'm going to hand the lead over to you. Dog was immediately back to doing the steam train bit. So if I'd have left them without the ability to continue that and give them a plan that I can help implement exactly like a PT would, and be there to check in, that dog's not fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. The other mistake that there are people who do work on a program basis. And I think that some of the mistakes that those that do have sometimes is that because we have this fear about going, how can I fill it? We end up filling it with probably there are skills that you can add and you can go, well, we've kind of covered that bit. Let's bring something else in. Well, there's two things actually here. There's that we can overload them with too much other stuff that they then start to forget the other stuff that they've done first. Because this is really common, isn't it, with us, that we find that we'll start people off with something. Let's say it's boundary work or whatever, and we start them off with that. And then we hope that they're doing that in the background. And then say session 3, we start maybe loose lead walking, for example. This is typical of a client we're working with at the moment. And if we don't mention that boundary work again, so we could just go, right, now we've done that part and I want you to carry on with it in the background. Let's now focus on the loose lead. So we do loose lead for a couple of sessions, 3 sessions, 4 sessions, whatever. And then we never check back in with the original exercise that we started them on. We're just assuming that they're doing that. Have we checked? Have we asked?
The assumption is so dangerous.
It is, isn't it? And have we actually gone, you know what, this session, I want to go back to what we did at the beginning. I just want to see where we're at with it. I want to see what progress we need to make and what adjustments we need to make. So for us, a massive learning curve in working in these programs is going, we need to cover old ground again and again, maybe, and even again, to be able to drill that information not only into the dog, but into the human, because that's got to become a habit in that human. And if we just expect them to just go and do that off their own back, there's no accountability. There's no reason to do it because we're not going to check, not that we're like, going to check and go, oh, you haven't done your homework, because that's another thing that we might want to make sure we don't do. But we also want to make sure that they're doing the stuff because it's going to get the result they want at the end of the day. So having this program opportunity is amazing, but I do feel like you have to structure that carefully, because you can overload people in a program as much as you can overload people in one session.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So you're talking about the program strategy. That's not even business strategy.
No,
that's a strategy within a strategy.
Yeah.
So it's just
very
really
layered,
complicated.
isn't it?
Yeah. But no, I think we really have to be, because thinking about, let's face it, this industry typically en masse offers 1 session, 2 sessions, 3 sessions, and it's advertised like that. Like you pick the number of sessions.
Yep.
Now, imagine going to your, I don't know, mechanic, your garage. Just pick what needs doing for your MOT. Just pick. You tell me.
Pick a mix.
Well, I ain't got a freaking clue. Like, you tell me, you're the professional. And that's exactly what. So there seems to be this fear that if we are not, and choice is important, but choice in areas where they should have choice.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, how can I pay you? Can I pay on card? Back, like, give them choices on that. Give them choices in a pay in full payment plan. Choice there. But actually, for solving a problem or offering a solution to a problem, or even a preventative problem, should be determined by you. You're the professional. This is the solution that you are offering. And without that, you will be turning people off because there's no perceived value. There's no real reason as to why they're going to pick you over somebody else. And it's all just left a little bit up in the air. And then that's when your head will start playing, I say tricks, but your brain will start telling the stories that you want to hear, like self-fulfilling prophecies of like, oh, they've gone with that other person because actually they're much better than I am. Yeah. Or they've gone with that person because they're cheaper than I am. Or they've gone with that person because they typically attract that type of dog. I don't know, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But whatever the story is in your head, it will play out.
But another story is, of course, when you work on an ad hoc basis and you leave it to the client to rebook you and they don't, those same stories go around in your head. They didn't enjoy it. They don't like me.
Well, you did this for years.
I know I did. I know. They don't like me. They didn't get anything out of it. They have gone somewhere else. Like so many stories go around in your head and that can send you a bit crazy. So working like that, although people say it's less stressful and it's like I don't need to fill a whole program and all that, that is more stressful as far as I'm concerned than having a nice structured program that you can actually take the time to consider and do a nice little what we call our Kickstart session where we get a good couple of hours with somebody and have a chance to see the dynamic in the house and see exactly, some people call it a consultation session. Like, God, the connotations of words like consultation or assessment, for me, I don't know how it makes you feel, but it's so old-fashioned and old school.
Very
clinical. And I just think, why are we calling it a report, a consultation, an assessment? I feel like, yeah, I'm in a doctor's surgery and I'm waiting for something scary to happen. Whereas actually, we call ours like a Kickstart session. So it gets you doing something straight away. We can just get to see you, the dog, the relationship, suss it out, basically, is what we're doing, and going, what does this dog need straight away? What does this person need to be doing straight away to be able to get some like nice, easy wins with this dog? And that's how we structure ours. And then off the back of that Kickstart session, we can then start to think, okay, we don't fully plan out the whole program in our heads, but we've got a good idea, haven't we? And we now run them pretty much together. So it means that we've both got an opportunity to look at it from different perspectives. And I know everybody hasn't got that opportunity to do that.
Yes,
and
you are very lucky to have me.
You're very lucky to have me as well. But it works really nicely because I might see things that Joe hasn't and the other way around. Yeah. So... And that's how we started working together in the training business, didn't we? Because I helped you with a case, you helped like me with a case, and it worked really well like that. And you just know that you've got different skill sets in certain areas as well. But anyway, that's an aside. That's just an additional bonus that we've got. And a lot of people don't have that. But it just enables you to then go, right, okay, so we'll work on this for a bit. We'll see where that goes. And then off the back of that, like we like to do things in lots of locations, which, you know, is an ideal situation to proof behaviours. And you can see it in one place and go, well, okay, that pretty much looks like it's nailed. So one of our clients at the moment has loose lead walking outside the house, pretty nailed. And I was actually trying to create distractions and make it harder. And I was really struggling to do that. We met on location for the first time in a park. Oh my God, the difference. Like we're back to square one with that dog and we now need to do lots of sessions in those kind of locations. So for us, it gives us a really good kind of almost, I don't know, like a learning curve to go, so we could almost think that's fixed.
Yeah.
And take it out of that context into another one. That's how dogs learn. We know that. They don't generalize at all. So it gives us an opportunity to actually go, we are right. Like we do know what we're talking about, and it proves it in that kind of situation. But how could you not, if you don't have an opportunity for somebody to stay with you for that period of time, how do you ever get to that point? You're leaving them unserved. As far as we're concerned, if you just did a couple of sessions outside the house and left it at that, you've unserved that client. Unless that client is happy just to walk up and down outside their house every day, then fair enough, you've nailed it. But if you want those clients to be able to take that dog to parks and hikes and all the things that these clients do we're way off that at the moment.
Yeah, no, you do. You've got to consider everything. And I think it's worth getting to know the client. And I think this is another reason we can turn people off, because we're so focused on the dog. Because guess what? That's where our skill set is.
Yeah.
You studied dogs, you know dogs. So as soon as an inquiry comes in and there is a dog problem, inevitably we go, oh yeah, I can fix that. I can do that. And you just start playing out what you're going to do and how it's going to work. And we forget that there's a human attached to that dog. And the human has got things that they're not going to be able to do. They've got a job. They've potentially got kids. They've got something going on in their life that is taking up a lot of their time, but they still need this problem with the dog sorting or the preventative stuff, whichever way you look at it, it's still a problem.
But, and you might be covering this in a second, but just to say, they don't view dogs like we view them. They don't see them in the, we've got this, that dog's got so much potential attitude about every dog that we ever work with. But that person lives with that dog and has lived with the issue that they've inevitably called you out for a while before that they've asked you for help. And their relationship with that dog probably isn't going to be that great. And we're asking them to just totally change, put some new glasses on and look at that dog through rose tinted glasses. And they're probably like tired and frustrated and done with the dog by that point. So there's that. And there's also like, they're never going to be as passionate about dogs. I don't care who they are and what kind of owner they're. They might be an amazing owner, but they're never going to see it like we see it because we put everything into
it's our heart and soul. Yeah, everything's into it. And and some people will look at it as well and go, and it's that kind of like double-edged sword bit, isn't it? Because yes, they've lived with it for a while and you need to tap into that pain point and go, right, how painful is this for you to continue? Like, are you calling me because you've reached breaking point? Or actually, if you call me because maybe somebody else has commented, like you need to get that dog fixed. We get that a lot, don't we? Yeah. But to them, it's not a huge problem. So actually, their reasoning for inquiring with you, you're less likely to make the sale if you're going to look at it like that, because actually their pain point isn't that high. They've lived with it and they're happy to live with it. For a lot of people, it's easier to put up with all the shit than it is to actually do anything about it, because you've got to change your habits.
But also look at the times we've gone in for an issue and they've got much bigger things on their plate that we can see. But for them, that's not difficult. That's
and I'm sure people say that all the time, like, oh yeah, it's loose lead walking, and then you take the dog out and it's trying to kill everything. You're like, oh, but that doesn't bother you.
Yeah.
No, I can deal with that because they're always on lead. I just need him to walk nicely. I'm like, oh.
But this is something also that we need to just be comfortable with, because how hard do people try sometimes to change people's views on it and go, but do you realise that's a much bigger problem and you need to sort that problem out first?
That's an emotional welfare thing. Yeah. And like, we know this, but again, there's only so much you can do. And certainly since I've been a parent, it kills me when I hear other people and the way they talk to their kids. And because I'm trying to do all this, like, I don't know what you call it now, like gentle parenting. It's like bollocks. Basically, me just being a decent human being and trying to treat them with the same way we do dogs. But there's an extra lens, isn't there, I suppose, where a lot of normal folk won't look at it.
But also, I bet you get other people's perspective all the time on the way that you parent. And I know you do because you've already told me that you get this.
Yeah. I'm this fluffy parent that lets them do everything. I'm like, well,
just giving them a bit of choice.
Just know, it's like, there's choice. Yeah. There's just choice involved. That's all it is. But again, it's all these perspectives that kind of come in, isn't it? And you will so easily turn people off if you are not in tune with your customer's journey. And this is going to be individual to everyone. So this may be a slight tangent, but I think it's important to focus on, because you will turn people off if you're not attracting the right people for you. But how do you know if you're attracting the right people to you if you've not even done any work on identifying the purpose of your business and why you're doing what you're doing?
Well, we will be doing an episode on
this. But it's important, isn't it? It's like you can't... Yeah. You need to turn some people off. You can't attract everybody. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to attract everybody?
But a lot of dog trainers are trying to attract everybody. And as a result of that, they attract no one.
Turning more people off because then it's too much choice. You land on somebody's website. Oh, we've definitely touched on this before because yours was a hellhole.
Oh, absolutely.
Classes, puppy, adolescent, adult, one-to-ones, puppy one-to-ones, adult one-to-ones, recall, lose track.
Hoopers.
My head hurts. All the stuff. So when somebody's going on there, again, from that customer journey, it is too much. And you are going to turn people off then, because how can you even manage your own time? Because then what if you only get 2 people sign up to a class? Or you've got 2 people on puppy, 2 people on adolescent, and I don't know, 3 or 4 people on your adult. Well, are you still going to run those classes?
This was my dilemma a lot, actually, because as soon as it's like a pyramid, isn't it? Like you're going to fill, for me, I used to fill puppy classes pretty much consistently. And then it gets less and less the more that you offer for people, you only get a certain amount of those that come on to the follow on. And then if you offer anything else, you'll get less people do that, because you kind of see the dedicated people like carrying on, and then the not as dedicated people drop off, don't they? So you're always going to get that. And then doing that, you've got the pressure of trying to fill those courses with very few people.
So then you start adding in all these other services, and now all of a sudden you're spread really thinly. Oh, this just reminds me, this totally goes into detracting your clients, because what the hell are you putting on any marketing platforms? What are you advertising? So what do you do? Like if you break down a work week, Monday through Friday. Monday, are we advertising puppy classes? Tuesday, are we advertising adult classes? Wednesday, are we doing one-to-ones? It's so confusing. We were having this conversation in our mastermind group yesterday, weren't we? There was an estate agent in there. And her conundrum was she wants to ultimately offer her services to a more normal priced household. So, your bog standard home. And then she wants to offer a premium range for those upward of,
I think, 700,000 or something.
So, a chunkier priced home product. But the problem is, and as we were talking about this and masterminding it between the group of, there was about 20 of us yesterday-ish, it became very apparent that for her, she needed 2 separate brands, because you cannot market to the same people for opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
You are not going to attract a normal homeowner versus a £1 million homeowner. The target audience are very different. I'd love to say I could afford £1 million house. I look at them, not quite there yet.
One day.
We'll manifest it. So I look at it, but I'm never, ever going to buy from them. Ever. And actually, it begs the question, doesn't it? Like, if I did have £1 million home that I wanted to, I was going to say send, it's not send, to sell. If I wanted to sell it, who would you go and choose to sell it with?
See, I was having this conversation with my husband last night, and he was like, well, wouldn't bother me. And he's got a friend who's an estate agent, so he would probably try and use him. And I was like, do you know what? I wouldn't. I would want somebody who really knows their stuff on higher end houses, and they know how to attract the right person that's going to come, and no time wasters that can't afford that house. Or, I want that messaging to be really good. I want the photos to be really good. And this lady also said that she offers she does like a walkthrough video. They do like a drone sort of.
I was like all the
added stuff that you don't get on your regular. You just get nice quality photos on your other one. And I'd want that, wouldn't you? If you've got this amazing house, you want somebody to showcase that.
Yeah,
much better.
Bloody proud of all the stuff that you've done in it.
And you want to get as much money as possible. Ultimately, everyone wants as much money as possible for their house that they're selling. So when I said that to him, he's like, yeah, maybe actually. Yeah. But the initial thought was, well, I know I've got a mate who's an estate agent. I'll just get them to do it. And I'm like, maybe not,
Yeah.
So it's definitely the way you talk about, like when you talk about it in a certain way, you can relate to it differently.
Yeah.
And I think if you were that person, you would think, I don't want to say lesser of a normal estate agent, but I think you would definitely want something a bit above and beyond, wouldn't you?
You just automatically categorize it as going like, right, that's for that and that's for that.
A bit like, going back to the mechanic analogy, because Gareth's a mechanic as well, so that kind of fits, is there are some people who have a Porsche, for example, and would never think to take it to a local family-run garage because they might go, well, I don't know if they're going to be able to manage it. They might go to Porsche. Now, he does get some people with higher-end cars that go to him, but there are always going to be those people that go, no, if I've got this car, I want it taken to that place where the perceived value might be higher.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think it's really important in that example as well, is that you can identify that. So Gareth in that one, initially he's like, well, yeah, no, I'm just going to do the whatever. Like, I'll just go to the mates. I'll just do the easy option. I don't care is the initial thought. And arguably you will get people out there that think like that. But this is the purpose of actually really identifying what your business is, because a Gareth type person, and sorry, G, I know you're going to be listening, but a Gareth type person is absolutely not necessarily going to buy off anyone because there's no investment from them. There's no strong desire to want to go with anyone until a pain's there. And, you know, maybe because it was a hypothetical example as well.
Yeah.
When you're
not in that position,
it's very different. But we all do it and we all have different perceived values of everything. But you can see how, certainly with that person in our mastermind group yesterday, it makes total sense for her to have two separate brands for that business.
And that's what the suggestion was.
Yeah.
To create a brand new brand for the average offering.
So you can have those two spin-offs. So arguably, you know, even with our business, you could say it would honestly be like, you may not agree, but it is putting Canine Business Academy and that Canine Co, our training business, all on one platform. Just assume they haven't got two separate names for now.
Yeah.
And we're plugging both. So we've now got two completely different audiences. Mm-hmm. And I do know companies out there that do this.
Yeah.
They have one brand and they target to both dog professionals and dog public. And it gets a bit blurred.
Yeah.
Because what content, like you can't guarantee who's reading what content. Yeah. So if you're posting to dog professionals one day, well, yeah, fine. But then you're going to turn off the dog owners. But then if the next day you're then wanting to push a dog owner product, you're a bit stuck.
Yeah. You're having to switch from one to the other constantly.
It just doesn't make sense. And this may not feel relatable when you're in trainer mode of, well, what's the difference between a puppy class and an adult class and a one-to-one? And it's because we don't necessarily know what we're offering at the end of it. We don't know this solution bit. Yeah. We're just offering a class because that's what people want. People want classes. People want help with their dogs. Yes, that's true. But to what extent and to what promise does your service offer that person?
Yeah. We've digressed a little bit because we are going to do a whole episode. We've got lots of upcoming episodes that we're planning. But I want to touch on another thing that comes up with our coaching clients is I don't want to take money from people. So it kind of relates back to what we were talking about before about having a program and not sure what to fill it with. But there are people that say, I don't want to take money from somebody that doesn't need me for that long. Why would I want somebody to stay with me when I don't think that they need to stay with me? That's a good one, isn't it?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I feel like that could be an episode in itself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it could be, couldn't it? But we're all about client retention and loyalty and building a community, which is huge in our programs.
We know just the education's not there for the public.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to educate if you're not in front of them. Mm-hmm. You just can't do it.
And also, how do you know, without getting to know your client well, it comes back to that. If you don't know your client well, how can you know what they actually want?
Yeah.
You can't. So it's a bit of a like chicken and egg situation where you think that they don't need anything, but how do you know? Because you've only been with them a couple of sessions. Like they're not going to tell you everything in just a couple of sessions. They're going to do that over a period of time. Yeah. So it's that, I'm not sure you can actually determine that.
And I think it's worth stating as well that we've invested a lot of time, energy and money into exploring this area over the last several years, in really getting to have conversations with clients, both potential and those that chose to come on board, and really identifying what it is that they wanted, what they're looking for. And again, you get a broad range because, again, everybody has different views on everything, which is absolutely fine. But for the most part, the higher percentage of people are looking for that support system. They are looking for the problem to be solved, but with support for when it feels a bit out of their league.
Yeah.
Which is what we're all looking for. Like if you invest in anything really to do with your education or trying to fix something, again, inevitably you do need to have that support. You want to be able to reach out to someone and go, right, I've just done this, or can you just help me with that? Or there's just that connection there. There's that relationship, not have to constantly keep booking back in. I think doctors should do this, to be honest, on certain things. Yeah. As I'm saying it, do you know when you get put on like a long-term antibiotic or something, or like a few weeks? For me, there should be a checkup on that. It's like, how are you feeling? How's it going? Any side effects? Any of this? Not just, here's one session, here's the solution, here's your pills. You might get some side effects. Book in another session if you need me.
Yeah. And also, we have a lot of sessions where we just chat to people and be a sounding board for people and figure out, we've come to this point and things have been going quite well, but now we're at a bit of a sticky point where nothing's really progressing. How do I get past that? And so having those opportunities to just sit with a client and just go, right, okay, so what can we do to help you make it happen then? What needs to change? What can we rejig? And that might be that we want somebody to document their progress and just pop it in a little journal or something like that, a little bullet pointed, every time you work with them, let's notice what was different or what wasn't different. And so we've got some tangible, measurable things. There's other things that we might suggest as well, but those sessions are so important, aren't they? Just to talk and just to chat it through and just for somebody to offload on us. We don't always have to deliver stuff. We don't always have to be, I'm a performing dog trainer and I need to show you how to do something. Those sessions for people, they always at the end of those sessions say, thank you, I really needed to do that. And I know we haven't done anything practical, but this was really important for me. And the feedback we get off of those sessions is that.
Yeah. And I think it's because they know they're in a long-term program as well, that they can take the time to do that. So you can always pick it back up on your next session. You can bring that session forward. You've got that flexibility because you've got time booked in with them. Not just now, if you were doing it on an ad hoc basis, in all fairness, if I put myself in a client mindset, I'd probably be pissed off if someone just spent the hour chatting to me.
You'd find that was a wasted session probably.
Yeah, it'd really knock me off.
Yeah. So we get that for people who've only ever offered ad hoc sessions, it's a mindset shift, isn't it? To go, that session is valuable to people, but it's not valuable in a one-to-one basis where you've just booked it for one session. It's not perceived as valuable there, is it?
No. Which is why I don't like these consults. Talk, get written plan, see ya, off you go.
I'm back to that. Oh, geez, you said the word consult and it made me internally cringe.
Outwardly shudder.
Right, anyone listening to this, Joe and I by now like a bit of feedback and we like engagement, and we do get lots of it off the back of the podcast anyway, don't we? But can anyone relate to this? It gives me an icky feeling. It gives me the same feeling as my weird button phobia that I've got. It makes me internally go,
you're in that button phobia.
And it makes me for anyone who's just listening, I'm like clenching my fists right now because consultation, assessment, report, are they just words to me?
Kind of. It gives you immediate connotations, doesn't it? What's going to happen? It's like, I'm going to come and assess your dog. So what are you expecting then? A clipbit with a tick list of
this is exactly what I've got. Barbara Woodhouse type approach is what I'm thinking. For anyone old enough to know, she's a bit before my time, but I know who she is.
Every time somebody says Barbara Woodhouse to me, I just want to go, That's all I want to do.
But it's that. You would expect somebody with a whistle and a clipboard and a pen and just be like, you sit there, I'll do all the training. And then
yes, and
the dog's going to be very well behaved. Oh God. I mean, I'm probably taking it too far now, but that is how it makes me feel. And if it makes me, I'm sure I'm not alone. Please, anybody.
You do have strong feelings.
I do have very strong feelings about it. There is a lot of things I don't have strong. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But things like that, they're just, I don't know. It's just inside me going, horrible. No.
But you know what? I think it comes from our love of this industry in going, we know we need to do better. I mean, hopefully that message is a bit bloody clear now with all these episodes we're doing, and we'll continue to do. But we love it so much, and we love the fact that all of you listening now invest so much in your knowledge to be able to help dogs, to be able to help people. And the frustrating thing for this industry, and it's not that we all as individuals are doing anything wrong, it's just there is no guidance. There is nobody pushing back and saying we need to do something different. We need to start listening to the world that we're living in now, because we are turning clients away unintentionally. We're obviously not doing it intentionally. It'd be a bit weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I want business, go away. It's just not going to happen. But we have to start thinking about the people aspect. We're all bloody good at the dog side of it. You will continue to keep investing in CPD. I can guarantee it now. The amount of people, I love you all, have dropped in our inbox and gone, I really want to work with you, but I've just invested in this other CPD thing. We get it.
Yeah.
Like, we are these people. We know. Your dog knowledge will continue to grow and you will continue to be awesome. But if you do not start thinking about the strategy of what your business is for and how to not turn clients away unintentionally, because it is the unintentional stuff, I'm emphasizing it, you're not going to have a business, and these dogs will suffer, and these people will suffer, and rescue shelters will suffer because more and more dogs will keep being abandoned. We are just going to be in this cycle where nothing gets better. And I know that's a really bleak way of looking at
bleak
things.
Is our favourite word at the moment. Joe and I have this weird thing about the word bleak. Just going off on a little bit of a spin here.
I love bleak.
Bleak. What did you call bleak one day?
Everything's bleak to me.
I think of bleak as like a bleak day. And you say, the diaries were bleak. So our diaries are a bit of chock-a-block at the moment. And Joe went, the diary's looking very bleak. And I was just like, what? I've never, ever heard bleak described for a diary before.
It's great. It's perfect.
So now bleak's the thing. It's always the word.
Yes.
Gifts about bleak always come up, don't they?
But it is, and it sounds really like a proper Debbie Downer. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be a kick up the backside to go, right, let's actually start being more professional. Let's stop turning away people unintentionally. Let's actually start focusing on the things that we're shit hot at and shout about it and sing about it and deliver it. Deliver awesomeness. Stop trying to be everything to everyone. Attract the people that are right for you. Attract the people that you are going to love working with. Make it easy for them to buy off you, for crying out loud. Stop doing invoices and bank transfers. Drives me insane.
Does that internally make your fists as well?
Makes me stop speaking.
God, they must be serious.
Jeez. You're very aggressive to me today.
I've been pointing and snapping my fingers at her a lot this morning.
So no, I think to summarise this episode then, let's
not lose clients. Let's attract them and keep them and retain them and have amazing ones.
Yeah. Look at what you do best. Tell people what you do best. Stop trying to be everything to everyone. Make it easy for them and just consider that customer journey a lot more.
We really hope you enjoyed the episode this week. So give us a like, share and follow, and we hope to see you back next week.